Good morning. Dr. Coconut and I here again this morning, working together in our morning meeting. There's not too many other people in the office these days, so he and I get to spend some time hanging out. We were reviewing our first Brains Facebook Live last night. Chris Roberts and Lindsay Farlow did a great job responding to a lot of family questions, and we'll keep some of that parent support going throughout this crisis and maybe beyond. We'll see where this goes. But one of the questions that was commonly asked last night was how do we work with our teens at this point in time? They believe they're invincible, they want to get out and do things, they want to have physical contact, and this has become a challenging time for them too. One of the first things we need to remember, regardless of a pandemic, the teenage and young adult years are pretty common to be testing the limits. They're trying to find that sense of where's my level of independence, where's my decision making, what types of decisions can I do on my own, and when do I maybe need to still listen to adults, and how much freedom do I have, especially if they've had that taste of the driver's license, where now they can bring themselves to their own events and their own activities. But they're also realizing that they are quite capable of doing things in the teenage years more on their own and want that sense of respect and being treated like they're progressing in making good decisions. But unfortunately, we know adolescence and the young adult years are when we're more likely to do some high risk things. We're more likely to maybe drive a little bit faster, to jump off something a little bit farther, to think we can swim out to the lake, to that raft that's maybe just a little bit out of our normal comfort zone. Or maybe we'll say things that we shouldn't say, or do other things that are typically higher risk. And that is that age where we're experimenting, we're learning, we're trying to figure life out, and wisdom hasn't necessarily always set in as best as it will once we hopefully get to our adult years, although that can be arguable for some of us. So, what do we do during this time? One of the things that's really not a bad option that probably we haven't done enough anyhow is teaching that sense of civic responsibility. Yeah, maybe you're not going to be the one who gets really sick, or maybe you're not going to be the one who gets really injured, but someone else around you might. And part of that responsibility that we're taking right now is making sure that we're taking care of others too. And in doing so, that means trying not to get ourselves sick by being out and around places where we're more likely to be vulnerable or contract an illness that we might be able to make it through, but maybe our grandparents or maybe our friends or maybe someone who's medically susceptible that you cross paths with can't. And so part of that is a responsibility that we have to do. Another thing is a lot of our teenage years, we kind of drift away from people. We forget about cousins and grandparents and aunts and uncles and important people in our life. And so we focus more on our sports and what's going on around us immediately. Our job, our friends, our sports are pretty common. But during this time, it might be a great opportunity to see if your teenagers and young adults might be more able to reach out to grandparents, call them a little bit more, maybe teach grandma and grandpa how to connect via video conferencing, writing letters more. If you have younger cousins, maybe seeing if you can get online with them and play board games together or card games online to kind of keep them connected, and maybe be a virtual babysitter for a while their parents get things done that they need to now that we're all supposed to be more sequestered in the environments that we're in, physically distancing, not necessarily social distancing. Teenagers usually really enjoy contact, and so it is very important for them to have the opportunities to connect with friends. Again, calling, video conferencing. Um, in some cases, we can be out in a physical environment, still keeping our physical distance, but maybe still engaging each other uh, in some green space area too, depending on what type of community that you live in. We have to respect the fact that they do want their sense of independence. So where can we negotiate that level of independence? What do you want to do? What can you help with? Can you safely go to the grocery store and help pick some things up? Are there tasks around the home that you could potentially do? Um, is there some things I can teach you to fix or to tinker with? Um, my daughter, who's 17, has really picked up on the baking aspect with us and has had some fun learning how to bake some new things. She's been great at writing cards to family and other people and making their day a little bit brighter. So she's drawing, she's coloring, she's connecting, and we're doing things in a way that she'll get that back too. So people are likely to write her back or to send her thank yous, and it's another way to stay very connected. In terms of some of that fun, risky stuff that kids like to do, well, it's getting a little bit warmer, and we'll be able to get outside and maybe enjoy some kayaking, some boating. But there's nothing stopping them from maybe being in the yard if they are into sports and practicing. They're throwing, they're shooting, they're catching, they're running. We can do a lot of physical activity outside that still allows them to train. So hopefully, if their sport does come back into season, um, whether they're on a travel team, whether once this is all over and their team gets together to just play some pickup games or other opportunities, keeping themselves pretty sharp is still going to be important. In terms of that teenage anxiety and feeling cooped up, that's a harder thing to deal with. We really can't encourage that opportunity to get together with bigger groups of friends, especially when we don't know where each other's been at. But in some cases, if everyone's sheltering in place and everyone's been safe, maybe seeing a friend or two wouldn't be the worst thing in the world and really wouldn't increase everyone's risk if we're all being responsible at this point in time. So we're trying our best, we're getting through it. But remember, teenage and young adult years, they are our invincible years. There's a chance, and maybe just a chance, that I might have done some things as a teenager that I look back on now too and enjoy telling the stories about. But would I do them again now? No, probably not. But that is a part of the teenage years and learning our way in the world. We try to keep them safe, we try to teach them, we try to help them to not put themselves in danger. But in this case, they might not be the ones that are in the danger. It is about everyone else around them. And it is that civic responsibility to be a part of a community bigger than they might have realized prior to this time. So we wish you guys well. We hope this video helps a little bit, and we look forward to continuing some of our parent education and maybe some teen groups through Facebook Live and helping people to stay connected, to educate, to support, and to offer ongoing telehealth services throughout this pandemic, and obviously getting back to regular services once we are given the permission to do so. Wishing you well. We hope you have a happy Easter and stay safe.